we lived. Larry brought politics in the House when, as a student at Brooklyn College, he joined the Young Democrats and campaigned for Adlai Stevenson in 1956. During my presidential campaign, I was delighted that Larry and his wife Janet and son Jacob were able to join me at some of our events. I was even prouder when, as a delegate from Democrats abroad at the Democratic Convention, he cast, with tears in his eyes, his one vote for my nomination. Was my family poor? No. Did we, as the economists say, have much discretionary income? Absolutely not. My dad was a paint salesman with the Keystone Paint and Varnish Company. He came to this country from Poland at the age of 17 without a nickel in his pocket. He was always employed and made enough money to provide for his wife Dorothy and his 2 sons, but not much more than that. Money, or more appropriately, lack of money, was always a point of contention in the house. There were arguments and more arguments between my parents, painful arguments, bitter arguments, arguments that seared through a little boy's brain, never to be forgotten. Bernard, go out and get some groceries. Here's what we need. Here's the list, my mother said. And, dutiful son of 12, I went out and bought the groceries. But I went to the wrong store. I went to the small shop a few blocks away rather than the Woolbounds grocery store on Nostrand Avenue. I paid more than I should have. When I returned and my mother realized what I had done, the screaming was horrible. Money was hard to come by, not to be wasted. When I was 13, I wanted a leather jacket. It was the fashion. Everyone had one, and I was tired of my brother's hand-me-down coat. Okay, said Mom, let's get you a leather jacket. This became the shopping trip from hell. It's probably why 62 years later, ask my wife if I'm lying, I still hate shopping, and why I want to escape if I am in a department store for more than a half hour. On that day, my mother took me to at least a dozen stores in search of the lowest price on a leather jacket. We started off at several stores at the Kings Highway shopping district. Then we got on the subway to the large department stores in downtown Brooklyn and Manhattan. There was no leather jacket in New York City that I didn't try on. Well, you guessed it. We ended up buying the jacket from the first store we had visited on Kings Highway much earlier in the day. It's funny to think about that now. It wasn't funny then. How much money your family had determined the quality of your baseball glove, which brand of sneakers you wore, and what kind of car your father drove. It also, of course, determined whether you lived in a rent-controlled apartment house, as most of my friends did, or a quote-unquote private house. Not until I was much older did I learn that most people did not refer to the average house on a street as a quote-unquote private house. But that distinction was very clear where I lived. Those of us who lived in apartment houses were working class, and those who lived in private houses were middle class. It was one of the early class distinctions that I remember. I spent most of my childhood playing out on the street or in schoolyards. The street was our world, and we never left home without a pink Spalding rubber ball. Unlike today, there was no adult supervision, none at all. We organized all the games by ourselves. We played hour after hour after hour. On the street, we played hide and seek, punchball, hockey, two-hand touch football, and stickball, with timeouts when cars passed by and strict rules as to what happened when the ball got stuck under a parked car. We pitched marbles into sewer grates. If your marble went down the hole in the middle, you got 10 marbles back. We played wall ball against the sides of the buildings. We played box ball on the sidewalk, curb ball against the curbs, and stoop ball against the stoops. We played regular handball and Chinese handball. We flipped baseball cards. We raced. In the schoolyard of PS 197, where I went to elementary school, a few blocks from where I lived, we played softball and basketball until we were so tired that we could barely drag ourselves home. For nourishment, we chipped in to buy a large bottle of soda. What I learned playing on the streets and playgrounds of Brooklyn was not just how to become a decent ball player and athlete. I learned a profound lesson about democracy and self-rule. From playing punchball and stickball, yes, there were no adults on the streets or playgrounds where